Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cullen on Film. We are back online here. A lot going on, so we're not in the studio right now, but we're also overseas with Cameron Spector. What's going on, Cameron? How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing? Good to see you again, finally. It's been such a long time.
Where are you right now?
So I live in Potsdam, Germany, about an hour outside of Berlin now. If they shot Inglourious Bastards out here, this is the main where the bridge is in Bridge of Spies.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of where I've been residing since October of last year.
Wow. How is it out there right now with all the corona and everything?
So we're starting to get a little bit of a second wave, which is some concern because we got everything under control, and then people, started getting comfortable, and so we got to see. I'm hoping though that it doesn't get too bad as it did last time. Everyone's wearing masks out here. People have restrictions and guidelines and stuff.
Are you able to film?
Yeah. So actually, I'm shooting 2 projects over the next 2 weeks. One this weekend, one next weekend, and I was on set just last weekend.
Oh wow.
It's a little bit different out here. And especially with COVID, it's kind of, masks, and everyone's kind of, at least at the beginning, people are kind of more like standoffish and keeping their space. But honestly, by the end of it, everyone's kind of like, either we all have COVID or I'm not at that. You don't have SAG out here. So you don't have those zone restrictions and all that. So it's a little bit less regulated, especially in the level that I'm still shooting at.
Yeah, it looks like we're starting up here soon, or some have, or getting ready to. So,
yeah,
a lot of restrictions.
Yeah, for sure.
But so why are you out there? Why don't you tell everyone what you're doing out there?
I'm a German American, right? My mom's from Germany originally. My dad's from the States, and I've lived in the States all my life. I grew up in Fairhaven, New Jersey. And for me, it was college. Tuition prices here are super cheap. I'm paying around 300 euros, around $350 a semester for tuition.
Wow.
And also I just want to change the scenery. You only get a few opportunities in your life to do something like this.
Yeah.
And especially since there's a big film production out here, right? I think they're actually shooting Matrix 4 as we speak out here.
Oh, wow.
So like, having that opportunity to be able to be here is something that I knew I wanted to take advantage of, and now was the perfect time to do it.
Would you research to find out, or you just knew about that area? Like, how did you find out that this was the place to
go? So there are 3 big film hubs in Germany. One is Cologne, and they do more TV out there. Then you have Munich, and then you have out here in Berlin. Potsdam is known for its history of film because it was both before World War II, it was a big film hub. During World War II, it was a big propaganda hub. It was a very big hub for the GDR when East and West were separated, and now it's kind of grown again with Brandenburg and Berlin, with its connection and with it being so close. So it's kind of known in the country as being a big film hub, and in Europe as well.
Wow. That's great. But how did you? I mean, you were doing this for a long time now. You're always interested. Sure. What got you interested in film in the beginning? Back here in Jersey.
back then, Jersey. So I love telling this is the story that I love to tell because I think it really helps envision what how I was. I was in 6th grade, and my grandfather in Germany had actually just passed away, and I had been a big actor. I love to act. I love to be on stage, and we were doing history projects where I was where we were doing sketches of like historical events and stuff like that. And I was going to miss him. I was really bummed out. So my teacher said, "Hey, why don't you just shoot a movie about it?" And I did. And I went, "Wow, this is a lot of fun." And the next project came around, and I said, "Hey, can I just make a movie instead this time, instead of going back to doing skits?" And from there, just kind of snowballed into me just keep having this obsession with making projects and working on films and trying to find film sets and all that kind of stuff. And it grew into what it was, now. I mean, we just celebrated 1 year ago today. I shot my biggest project ever in Jersey, House Sitters, which was a couple of grand. We had some union actors that had been on Maisel and Orange is the New Black and stuff like that. And that had been a big milestone for me because it was a big project.
I remember you shooting that. I never saw that one yet. But
we're still in post on it. We're in the final stages of post. Kind of with the move, it kind of stalled for a couple months because I was trying to get my bearings here. But we're back on it. We're really close to being done. Hopefully we can get it to some cool festivals. And I have a couple of other projects, a couple that I shot while I was still in the States back in February for a break, and you know,
And they're all on post.
Yeah, they're all in post. One of them is finished. One of them is almost, like, we're in the two others are basically almost done. Just minor color correction and some sound editing that we still have to
Are you
figure out.
able to do that, or like right now, or you got too much going on with other things?
So I'm on summer break. So our
Oh.
semesters are a bit different out here. My
Yeah.
semester actually ends in July. So we go from October to February and then April to July.
No.
So we just finished up, and my course load wasn't that terrible this semester. So I was able to work on some things, and I do work with editors and stuff like that at this point, because for me, editing is one of my least favorite parts of the process. So I've come to meet people who love to edit, and I go, okay, you want to do it? Go ahead. I will just tell you what I need.
That's kind of where I fell too at a certain point. Yeah. When I was making more films, now I'm teaching it, so it's a little different. So I actually had to go back into editing myself and like really learn. And now that's all I do is edit, you know? But yeah, I was at that point with you when I was directing and making films. I'm like, I don't want to edit this.
Just like because you're done. You're done with shooting, and you're sitting there like, okay, we're done.
We're done.
And then
move on.
But then you're like, wait, but you're not done. Shoot. And then like 2 weeks later, you're looking at this drive going, I actually need to put this together now, or else no one's ever going to look at it.
Yep.
So I'm just like, well, okay.
That's a sign of a director. It is.
You know, and you got that drive, and you just keep going and going, and you know, that's how it goes somehow.
Now, you were making this stuff in high school too. Like, you know, I teach high school at High School North now. I've been there for 3 years, and we're growing the program. It's out. So like all these high schools, thanks. But all these high schools now are big into making films and festivals and things like that, and it's growing big time. Now, did you have that opportunity in high school? I know I didn't, but you were just, I mean, where you went, or like, did they have a film program, or did you kind of do it on your own?
So it was because I came in at a weird time, right? I feel like I always missed it.
Yeah.
So like all the summer camps that you could go to and like film, the 6 through 8 happened when I was in high school, right? Yeah. And like I was just missing everything.
Yeah.
And in high school, we didn't have a big film program. You know, shout out to Dana Molshagen, who helps run the film club and does film studies at RFH, but that's basically all we have. But I came in forging my own path and doing my own things. It certainly helped that we had a group and that I was able to meet other people in high school that I most likely wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah.
And I got to meet a bunch of cool people who I did work with. But a lot of that was on my own, figuring, you know, mostly through YouTube, you know, Film Riot, Indie Mogul, those types of places. That was where I started to learn how to make projects. And then, of course, watching movies.
Yeah. And then like some students like yourself, kind of like, because of what you've done, kind of push like the education to go in that route. So
yeah,
it like grew after.
Yeah. And so I kept trying to push it. I mean, I was lucky in that I always tried to meet people that have some power. You know, if it's on a set, talking with the director and the producer, if it's, you know, in the school, you know, talking with the principal. And for me, it was always important to hammer home how important the arts are, but not just the arts, because I mean, we still don't 100% appreciate theater as much as I think we should in high school. But we definitely do not appreciate film as much as we should. And graphical design and those like technical arts that I think people take for granted nowadays because it's on the palm of your hand. But there is a difference between doing it okay and doing it really well and being a professional at it. And, you know, I think not really understanding that because of how easy it is to access, I think has kind of hindered us more than helped us.
Now, have you had any films still going in festivals, and now they're all online right now? Have you, or your films are kind of done and in waiting right now? Like,
so we had Stuck in the Woods last year, which was a Hang On to Your Shorts and Brightside. That was the last big project that we released.
They kind of finished its run though before all this, right?
Yes, we finished the run back in actually before I moved. May of 19, I guess, was when Hang On to Your Shorts was. And then after that, we kind of went into full gear into pre-production for Outsiders. I've noticed that I kind of do every other year festival runs instead of every year, just because my schedule kind of dictates that, and I'm very selective as to what I put up because there's still a money cost behind it, and even though entrance fees are not super expensive, it's still for someone that currently I make 450 euros a month, so 500 euros a month as an RA at where I live. So it's still it's money, but I can't tell you that I'm making millions here, right? So I need to be very selective, and I want to put my best foot forward. And I've learned that, I've been told in the industry, you got to put your best stuff out and just keep making, but only show what your best stuff is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we've been at.
Well, right now that's all online anyway, so you're not missing too much, right? Like, hopefully, when you're all ready, they will start coming back. Hopefully,
that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping is that next year, I hope that a vaccine comes out early enough that we have next year to kind of be able to do that everything starts coming back. I mean, just the festival experience itself, when I talk to other kids with other students, because the older I got and I took a gap year between moving, right? Mm-hmm. So I graduated in 2018 from Fairhaven and I moved here in 2019. So I took a year off. I got to meet a bunch of people. I got to meet people from all different high schools. And the biggest thing that I tried to instill was make things, right? Is to just keep making. Even if you have no money, just grab your friends and make something because you're going to keep improving, and go to festivals, spend the money to go watch movies, make connections with people, meet people. I met my lead for House Sitters at a film festival. Oh, right. We were talking. I was introduced by someone and, at the after party. I'd already cast the other lead and they had somewhat known each other. And basically they did their casting right in front of me at the after party. No. And I was laughing my head off and, I was like, okay, fine, you got me. Like, let's do this. Let's get this done. And, that's how House Sitters kind of got to where it was.
That seems to happen a lot of festivals with people casting. The bright side, people just sit around the bar area and cast people in their films.
Why not?
Why not?
Because you just watch them in a movie. It's like, all right, I can see what you can do.
So you miss that right now because it's like all these are online, and so you miss meeting people, and that's really how everyone gets together and starts making films. So hopefully that will come back soon. So we'll see. Also, I mean, meeting people and doing things with people. I know you, and we just recently had on Rob Margulies on our show, and I know you've worked with him. How did that come
about? So he went to RFH. And so he was shooting Immortal at RFH, and I was lucky enough to be chosen from our film studies teacher as basically, hey, they're shooting this movie. I basically told them, you can shoot this movie here for nothing, but you got to have a student on the project. Oh. And so they invited me on. Oh. And it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun on that set. I met a lot of great people through that and through the projects. Tim Robuto, who was in Yes. I got to meet him. I got to direct him in House Sitters. Aaron, who was on Immortal, I got to direct on House Sitters. My DP Miguel, who I've been working on a couple projects now, and who I've kind of started to grow in as one of my favorite people to work with as a director DP duo in the States. He was through those sets. So you just learn people and you take it in. You work hard. I feel that I worked very hard, and that's why I kept being called back. I think I worked on a total of 5 projects with him over the year that
that many.
That's wow. Well, he's a busy man trying to do a lot of things.
Have you seen it recently with what is going on?
Yeah, it's great. I'm very happy for him. We don't get to talk as much as we used to, but I'm very happy that he's doing things, and I'm just like if one of us rises, then all of us rise, right? Especially in the community. And seeing that, and it's like, oh, I got to work with him. I got to see what he does, and I know he, at least on set, he does work hard, and he has that work ethic.
And just meeting people on these sets and working with them afterwards is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you make friends. Like that's how it was hard for me in high school to make friends because I was so focused already. Right. I feel like in high school, not everyone knows what they want to do.
Yeah.
But I was the weird one that did. So I kind of went and was like, all right, let's make that movie. I kind of dragged friends along that varying degrees of actually were interested, and they kind of trickled out as things got more and more intense.
Yeah.
But I got to meet people on those sets that I became close friends with. and that I still hang out with. And that I still talk with regularly, right? And so you kind of get to meet those people, and you build those relationships that grow from not just working, which is great, but also to something that you can hang out with people. So it's always fun.
Are you writing right now, or any new projects that you're writing, and maybe a feature film in mind?
I do. I have a couple. So we're working on. So I'm working with Logan, who was one of the leads in House Sitters, to work on the feature film version of House Sitters.
Oh.
I have a couple. I'm working. So we're shooting this weekend. We're shooting my first short film in German. So
really? Wow.
So we're doing that milestone of doing something in a different language. Yeah. I am working on my first web series the weekend after, which hopefully we'll have up by, sometime in the beginning of the year. And then, another feature that I'm personally still writing that's very personal to me, and a couple other shorts scattered here and there that I go, why not? Like I cannot stay focused on one thing. I gotta keep working on like 20 things at once. And my friends are like, you're going crazy. I'm like, oh no, I already am crazy. But
you got to keep going. That's even with all this, people that are still going, and you have to.
Right.
Or you go insane. It's like a total opposite. You have to keep going.
Well, for me, it was a mix because so I came back to Germany on the 15th of March, right? So that was right before the wave really hit in New York, New Jersey. But like 5 days after, they called a lockdown in Germany.
No.
So literally the day that I left, a friend of mine texted me from Germany saying, "Hey, you're a German citizen, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" "Yeah, they're banning all non-EU citizens to enter the country." I'm like, wow. "Oh, okay. We're leaving now for the airport because I don't want to not miss this flight."
Yeah.
But that gave me time to kind of think. And on the way there, I worked with my buddy Justin Chapman, who is a graduate of Emerson. We got to meet on a couple of film sets, and I was talking to him, "Hey, I want to make this web show about being stuck in quarantine for 14 days, since I basically have to do that anyway." So we made, on my public Instagram, we made something called Q Time, which was a 15-part series of just 1-minute videos of just me just going mentally insane and starting talking to socks and having, a block with a face on it, and starting talking with that, and the one sock got thrown out the window, and it just got crazy. But you just got to pass the time somehow, and for me, that's the outlet of me going through my stress and my crap. So that's how I did it.
Wow, that's crazy. Just getting, you just got over there just in time and everything. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
whew. Oh yeah. Oh, I was kissing the ground when I got back to my student dorm complex.
So it was a crazy, the whole process was crazy, just getting back over there.
Yeah. So they hadn't put big protocols into place yet, like they have now. Now, if you fly into Berlin, they actually test you right away.
No.
They didn't have any testing at the time ready to go, and they didn't ask you the test. But I was on the plane with a mask on for 9 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, that's not fun.
No.
And especially since we were just getting used to the wearing of masks, it was like, oh, okay, so this is how I'm going to start it. Okay. All right.
Wow. Well, it's been a long time going on and still going, but actually, I was just looking today, and like hard to believe, New Jersey and New York are like the safest places to be in the country right now.
Yeah. Well,
Never thought you'd say that, right?
I think it comes down to what works is for us staying indoors for a bit, and then we can kind of start to interact with each other again.
Yeah.
All of my meetings have been online. Not that they've not usually been anymore, because I'm working with a mix of people from the States and here. So like we all kind of meet over Skype or Zoom or something like that anyway, or Teams. Yeah. But now I really ingrained that into place where we had a virtual table read, right? Something that, I personally didn't feel was as effective for me as an actual table read, but was still important so that I could kind of see everyone in action.
Yeah.
But that's the way that we got to deal with things now. So
yeah, a lot of casting was going on during this time. A lot of casting directors were trying to cast people for parts that would be upcoming soon. So a lot of people have been writing and casting throughout this whole process.
Hey, it's what you can do by yourself. And if that's what you can do, then do it, perfect your craft. Even if you're, a DP or cinematographer, just, you know, go out to the woods and take some shots and practice. You know, that's better your craft. If you know, we're starting to get a shortage on that content.
Yeah.
So they're going to want people again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So perfect yourself. And, you know, if you're kind of in that position where you're not quite there, or you're just about to hit it, like, work your butt off. Now is the time to really focus in on what being good is, and just keep shooting, even if it's just with a phone, learning how to do smooth movements and stuff like that. So
are you going to be coming back to the States anytime soon, or no?
Right now, it doesn't look like till next year.
Yeah.
Because by the time I think it might be calm, I'm in the middle of my semester again. So most likely again in that February, March timeframe is when I would come back.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll have to see. It all depends on how the virus gets hit and how, you know, people treat it and the aftermath of it. You know, that's kind of my thing right now.
Absolutely. What do you prefer? Yeah, I mean, you like writing and directing the most? Those are the two focus ones, or what else would you like to do?
Producing. So writing, directing, and producing is kind of what I love doing the most. I do kind of have that, you know, the predator like aspect where I can do everything. Like I have the ability to. Yeah. I have shot my own things. Like Stuck in the Woods, I shot that myself. I edited that myself. Right. That was all me. But I don't. I'd rather focus, and that's what my focus has been right now, especially on the producing aspect, is, you know, I'm starting to form a group of people that, like, under the collective, the production company that I've been working under for the past like 10 years, and kind of going, all right, I want to help you make your project, and I want to step in that producer role because I actually really enjoy that producer role. So let me help you make that, because it's so much fun to do. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
When you make a team and you keep working together and doing different things, I know a lot of like film teams that like, I'm writing, directing this one and you produce it, but then I'm writing, directing this other one and you produce, like, they keep like kind of doing a round robin thing, keep switching.
So here in Germany, I actually have that where my I AD'd for him on his last project. My unit production manager, I was a PA on his set just recently. So we, you know, you kind of find those grooves.
Yeah.
Back in the States, it kind of became more of my writing partner and I would write together. He would do script supervising while I would direct. And then we'd have an AD come in that we both knew, the DP. And I kind of started working with the same people, which I think is the best way of doing things. You kind of get accustomed to a workflow, and you know, with certain people, and especially when you're on this level, it's the most effective, and I think the most fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you give any advice to, like, if I showed this to my students, the year's going to start out, we don't know, we're going to be like partially virtual, partially in the classroom, and I started doing this to do something virtually for my students.
Sure.
Hang on to your shorts. We had to put like a pause on that because everyone's all over the place and not here or there. So I started this own show, Cullen on Film, and it's doing well. But I usually use these episodes to show them for all these filmmakers and actors and things. So I usually ask if you have any advice for like a young high school student starting out and maybe wanting to go off to college to do film, if you have anything.
For me, first of all, you're lucky to have a film program. And, you know, I've known you, CJ, for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
And you are a great teacher and a great filmmaker, and you know, they should be lucky to have you. But I think the best thing that I could say is just make stuff. You're going to keep failing, and, you know, keep failing spectacularly. And since now that you're in high school, you have the resources to fail. So do that. I think the second piece of advice is something that I always follow, is when you start getting in the groove of making projects that are maybe not always successful, but good, always one up yourself. So with every single production, you take one thing, even if it's minor, right? And do it better. So I went from shooting things myself to having a dedicated DP on the next project to using union actors on the project after that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a big step up in learning how to deal with union.
Right.
How was that? How was that? It's a learning experience.
my dad's a teacher, or a college professor, so I've always been in support of unions, but SAG is very annoying sometimes. No hate on
constantly
them, but
changes. Constantly
yes.
changes.
And especially when you're, I was 18 working with SAG by myself, going, all right, I don't know at all what I'm doing, but I do have to give SAG the credit. They do try to help you step by step in that process, especially when you're just starting out. But coming back to the point of always just trying to take one aspect and improving it. Always, you're going up those steps and you'll get to that point where you're making those big projects. Get up to that point, right? You don't need to jump up right away. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made in high school was I said, all right, by the end of high school, I'm going to make a feature. And I did, I guess. I made a 60-minute film, but at what cost? Because it was very much not what I wanted it to be. And so I think if I had built myself up there a little bit more, now I think that we're talking about features within, I'm working on 2 at the same time, one more in a directing producing role and one writing myself. Now that I'm stepping up to that, I feel more comfortable since I've had that experience of working with the DP, with working with union actors, with doing certain things. And I feel like I can do it more effectively now. So for me, that's kind of, build yourself up to it and always find that one thing to improve.
And, usually when we close out here, we want you to promote stuff. Do you have any websites you want to promote? And we'll put it up and let everyone know where they can watch some of your old films if you have out there.
Of course. So the production company that I run is called Capgun Productions. We're on YouTube mostly, and we do a Facebook page and a Twitter page and an Instagram page. Personally, my personal channel is Cameron365 on YouTube, which is kind of more personal stuff, kind of more introverted stuff that I kind of, when I need to vlog or like need to let things out, like that's where my things are. But if you want to follow my professional accounts, it's at Cameron Spector Official. That's where Q-Timed is, and that's where I kind of post, projects that I'm working on, photos that I'm doing, and any other releases that might be going on. Cool. So that's kind of where to go.
Awesome. Well, it's great talking to you. Great seeing you, at least somehow, right?
Yeah.
You missed. You were in the studio before. We miss. Sometimes I've been going in there a little bit, but we had some other issues. But this is kind of a new thing. I've been talking to people from all over the world, so it's really cool, and I'm glad to have you on, especially from your perspective and everything.
Of course, anytime. Let me know when you need someone to come in. I can apparently talk for a long time.
It goes. I tell you, it goes real fast, man. Like a half hour, boom, like that. So you never know. The show's been going great. You can. It's right now. We're live on Cullen on Film on Facebook, but we're also. I have a YouTube page, Cullen on Film. I got to update some of the shows, but we cut the show up, and then it'll just be you on it, and then. So that episode there on that, as well as SoundCloud. Sounds really good on SoundCloud. So if you have SoundCloud,
that's good.
Once it comes up on there, it'll be really cool. I always like listening to SoundCloud. I like go out for a run, listen to the shows and everything. So But it's great having you on. You have anything else you want to say before we let go?
I think important for me is to kind of. When you're reaching out to the younger audience, when you're talking about making things, it's like, that process. And I bet you've dealt with that before. It's like, people don't know where to start. And for me, when I'm talking to people, it's just keep pushing them. So for me, it was, because I had that drive starting out because I got somewhat lucky in that I just stumbled into it. But I have a lot of friends who are like, I don't know where to start. And, I love driving that point home. Just do it. Just jump off that cliff. You're going to fail. And it's not, you're going to look like I look on my older projects that I did back in, before I went into high school, back in 8th grade, 7th grade. I'm like, okay, what does any of this mean?
I look back at my ones a couple of years ago. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. You're just like, oh no, what was that? Like even, and it's terrible because even when I'm and at the festival, I'm like, wait, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look right. That doesn't, like, you're still analyzing. You're like, oh my God, it doesn't work. But you're always improving. You're never going to be satisfied 100%. So that's kind of the thing.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, and I hope to talk to you again soon. And once you get your films, get going, your films and festivals, then we'll check them out.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks a lot, man.
Bye.